and welcome to another episode of The Focal Thought. My guest today is Yeun Byun. How are you, Yeun?
I'm doing well, thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on the show. You are the founder of the company Soaps of Seven Flowers, which was created out of your yearning to reconnect with all things wild, considerably the plants, flowers, trees, all of these things which help us heal. So I'm excited to speak with you because I had an event many, many years ago. I think this was about 2012, and we were looking for giveaways. And the traditional giveaways might be, boxes of cake or, maybe some stationery or some sort of, souvenir like a keychain, etc.
Hmm.
And then we decided to go with artisan soaps, customized, handcrafted artisan soaps. And I didn't know anything about it at the time. And it really
Hmm.
just looked pretty. Um, and especially your designs, the soaps themselves, it's almost like it's a painting on a soap. And even the way you sort of cover it with the card and the string, it's very elegant.
Hmm.
I just thought it was something that looked nice and appealing, but learning more about these soaps, there's actually much more to it than just the visual aspect. There's a
Hmm.
healing aspect that's going on because too often, we use commercially manufactured soap in the household. This is, for dishwashing in the dishwasher, in our,
Hmm.
laundry when doing clothes, but especially, when we're in shower mode, that's really important because, the product that you put on your skin, very easily absorbs. And I find with, commercially great products, they might smell good. It's got
Hmm.
an artificial tone to it in terms of, the smell.
Hmm.
But in terms of, leaving a product residue behind on you, that's maybe not the best thing. You can have
Hmm.
itchy and dry skin. Sometimes you can actually see the smear marks left by the soap.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
really not the best thing if you can help to avoid it. And I wanted to ask first off, how did you get into to making soaps?
That's a great question. Um, it was actually when I was living in New York. I got into, I was working for the New York Horticulture Society, and I was helping facilitate workshops and classes and organizing them. And one of my workshops that I was helping co-facilitate or just coordinate was a soap making workshop. And so that was, it was like in the middle of winter, like in early December, and um, that workshop, I got to be a part of it just by helping facilitating it, and so it was actually my first like hands-on experience making soap, and it was just I'm already someone who loves to cook and bake, and so that process of like melting stuff down and adding your ingredients and I still remember like just within like the first 10 minutes of everybody making soap in that class, like just how nourishing the smells were in that space. And also just feeling like a deep sense of camaraderie, making things together side by side. And it's actually one thing that was really resonated with me was that it's functional art, right? It's you get to create a piece of work that really like resonates with someone and then they get to use it up. So there's like also more of like a sustainable aspect to it where there's very little waste and yeah, and it's totally devoid of like any harsh chemicals or things that are harmful to your body. So that's kind of how I got started making soap. I remember that Christmas I caught the soap bug and I was making soap maybe like 3, 4 times a week.
Wow.
And all of my friends got like whole boxes of soap of all the different kinds. And it's really like a very creatively unlimited process. Like you can make so many different kinds of soaps with different smells and flowers and different things that help exfoliate your skin. And then from there, I was also working as a floral designer in New York, and I was learning more and more about how toxic the floral industry can be, like all the different pesticides and fertilizers and amendments that were used in flower farming. And so for me, there was a big draw to learning how to grow flowers, and not just like the reason why it's such a toxic industry is because we have this very high standard for how flowers should look, like no bruised petals, nothing, missing any leaves. And so I figured that there's got to be a more like environmentally sustainable way to grow flowers. And so that kind of got my brain churning and thinking about ways that I can implement sustainable growing practices for a flower farm, and also starting a soap company would help me be able to use those flowers in a way that could really bring a lot of value to people, not just physically, aesthetically pleasing, but also um, pleasing in other ways.
Well, no, I'm really glad you mentioned that about the floral industry, because I didn't know that. I mean, I knew with with produce that you see in the supermarket. I remember one of the first times I'd gone to a farmer's market and seeing tomatoes there just in all these irregular shapes, and I thought something was actually wrong with it, but actually something was wrong with me, because in the grocery store, like you're saying, they try to genetically modify the actual structure of the tomato so that it reaps these beautiful exterior sort of visual skin aids, and they're doing the same thing with flowers that I hadn't thought of. So even though the flower might look visually appealing, it might not be the best thing for you, right?
Right, right. Yeah. And there's actually a whole movement on American grown sustainable flowers. Deborah Prinzing is kind of the founder of the Slow Flowers movement. So I highly recommend listening to her interviews with flower farmers all across America.
No,
It's very inspiring. Hmm.
I'll have to check that out. So
Hmm.
then, you likened soap making to cooking, and when I was looking at soap making, essentially there's three things that you need to make soap, which is oil, water, and lye traditionally.
Hmm.
And the oil cannot be any sort of petroleum-based oil. It has to be something that's like an animal fat or a vegetable fat traditionally.
Hmm. Hmm.
And they used to say that lard and tallow would make very good soaps. So
Hmm.
when you're using the fat, when you're using water, when you're using these sort of herbs and natural fragrances, it's almost
Hmm.
like a marinade for something that you're about to cook. You can almost eat the soap, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I always make a joke to my farmers market customers that all the ingredients are organic and natural and you could eat it and nothing would go wrong. It wouldn't taste very good though. I've tried it.
But
Yeah.
that's important. I mean, especially for someone like me, the morning shower is my morning coffee. That's when I really wake up. I spend some time in there,
Hmm.
meditating and breathing. And even though the shower might not be the best place to breathe, but the soap is the star of the show, I find, right? I mean,
Hmm.
I actually used to count the number of uses I got with a brand of soap, back in the day,
Amazing.
just to see what sort of value I might be getting for it. And it's really important because, from a health component, you want to put a good product on your body,
Hmm.
that's going to get the job done for cleaning you, but also, healing wise, health wise, that's important. And from the
Yeah.
ingredients that you use in your soaps, you're using
Hmm.
100% therapeutic, pure grade essential oils. And,
Correct.
like coconut oils, olive oils. And the oils matter because, the oils I've heard can make the soap soft. They can make the soap hard in terms of its outer texture. Shea
Hmm.
butter, cocoa butter. And then even for the scents, you're not actually using any, artificial chemicals, right, for that. Um, so is there a particular sort of schematic you follow when you're making soap? Like, how do you decide what kind of soap you're going to make in terms of the end product?
Yeah, I would say that it definitely starts with the ingredients. Um, each essential oil has different properties and different characteristics of how they're therapeutic to both your physical skin as well as um, like aromatherapy, like smells. When you smell something, it goes straight to your brain, and it actually does affect your mood, your ability to focus. And so each bar that gets created has kind of like a centering intention. Like, for example, I make a citrus soap that's citrus oils are very good for like focus and energy, like giving you that boost of energy. Um, so, like, first I create an intention behind a bar of soap of like, how do I want to make the user, like, what ingredients can I use to help them, like, to help really the ingredients complement each other. So, like, for example, I wouldn't use an orange or like a lemon essential oil with like a sandalwood, which is more calming and relaxing, because then they'll contrast each other and it'll leave your body feeling very confused about what to feel. And so each bar, when I choose at least the essential oils and the flowers that go in it, have a lot of alignment in how they make you feel. So, like with my citrus bar, I'll use peppermint leaves to not only exfoliate, but to help kind of complement the focusing energy that orange essential oil brings or lemon essential oil brings. And then there are other like softer, more gentle oils like lavender and rose complement each other really well, with the like calming, winding down kind of energy that you'd want. And so actually when I am selling the soaps at markets, I'll ask people like, are you a morning shower person or a nighttime shower person? And I'll make recommendations based on what kind of essential oils would complement the time of day that they're really having that. Um, I like to call it hydrotherapy. So like a time where you can just really wash away either everything from the day before so you can start anew each morning, or even a nighttime bath or a shower that really helps you relax and wind down and enter into more of a relaxed state. So very
Um,
much like centered around what mood I want to elevate in others.
that's great. I mean, personally myself, I'm a morning shower person, but after hearing you describe this, I might have to institute two routines, one in the morning and the night, and pick
Mm-hmm.
the bar of soap accordingly. And that makes sense because in the morning you don't want something that's calming and relaxing. I mean, depending what you have your day set up for. And in the
Mm-hmm.
nighttime, when you're sort of, drawing down towards sleep, you do want
Mm-hmm.
something that'll complement that for sure. You don't want something that's, invigorating, like maybe the citrus that you're saying, right? That'll keep
Mm-hmm.
you up. It's equivalent to having a coffee
Mm-hmm.
right before going to sleep.
Right, right. Yeah, I actually make a coffee bar, and actually caffeine totally, when you're bathing with coffee essential oil, the caffeine will get absorbed into your bloodstream and actually wake you up. I don't know exactly the numbers of exactly how much it equates to, like a cup of coffee, but I do know that caffeine will be in your system as you use like a coffee, as coffee essential oils.
Oh wow, that's very interesting. And the
Hmm.
the fragrances are coming purely from the flowers that you infuse into the soaps.
Yeah, the fragrance simply comes from the essential oils, and the oils are created in different ways. There's, steam distillation. There's like also like a process where you steep something in oil for a long time. There's different ways to get scents from different plant materials, but essentially, pun intended, the different oils, the different essential oils is what creates the scent. And actually, with fragrances, synthetic fragrances that are lab made, there's nothing like inherently wrong about them. They're actually just um, like very, very artificial ways, very calculated ways to mimic the exact scent of what it is that it's trying to replicate. And scents are very complex. Like a scent from like for example, to make 1 ounce of rose essential oils takes about 1,000 pounds of rose petals, and the the scent that you're smelling when you're smelling that rose essential oil is the different chemical intricacies of every rose that was used for that scent and or to create that essential oil. So you're picking up on all the different like growing conditions, light conditions, water conditions of that plant. And that's why they draw us in so much because it's actually the complexity of the smells. And that's why fragrances kind of have this general smell of really flat and simple, whereas essential oils, because we're having to use all of those, all so much plant material from so many different plants, your nose is picking up on all the intricacies of all the different flowers that were used to make that little tiny bottle of essential oil.
Oh, wow. So that's almost akin to, say, a bottle of wine where it's not, just the grape that's going into the wine. It's, the landscape, it's the climate, it's everything, the work that was done into it. And that's
Mm-hmm.
that's very different from like an artificial scent, So then
Mm-hmm.
by that regard, an artificial scent is very one-dimensional. And in fact, it's
Mm-hmm.
it's an illusion, and you're not doing yourself, a favor. In fact, you might be, doing something worse to yourself by not
Mm-hmm.
allowing yourself to glean the rewards of, say, these essential oils that are giving you
Mm-hmm.
multi-dimensional sort of, effects.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that really is like what drives my passion for working with flowers and working with, creating body products is um, that it allows people to have a deeper relationship to plants in these really like in these ways that we are already implementing in our daily lives, like staying clean and bathing. And so it's what I see is like this mutually beneficial symbiotic relationship that we can create with plants. Um, that kind of is a nod to, being um, ecologically mindful and environmentally aware of how connected we are to our natural resources, which is plants, in
No,
my
for sure.
in my case.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's getting us back to, connecting with the source of nature, but also connecting us with the respect that, we should have for nature.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
if the essential oils are giving you the fragrance component of the soap, what is the role of the flower in the soap?
Yeah, so there's kind of one functional role of the flowers, and one is purely aesthetic. So the flowers that I put inside the soaps, like for example, I use calendula petals, like dried calendula flowers. Um, it has like stacking functions. So the calendula petals will create a very yellow bar of soap. So it's a way to naturally color things that are pleasing to the eye, as well as calendula is very widely used as like an anti-inflammatory for a lot of different skin conditions, um, like eczema and psoriasis. It helps with inflammation if you use it continually over a long period of time, and um, and then, yeah, when people can touch and feel the petals in their soap bar, it gives kind of like this tactile therapy as well. Just helps ground them to what's in the present moment. Um,
And then with the design of the soap, in terms of
mhm.
the layering, as you use it, is the sort of like the flowers and the herbs that you use, is that all on the exterior, or as the, as you use the soap and it whittles down, you'll have layers of those flowers as well? Is that possible, or it's just on the outside?
Yeah, it does layer the flowers that I add just to the top of the soaps um, was actually something that I did to help me differentiate all the different flavors without having to smell each one. And so before I started experimenting with natural colors and figuring out which flowers and clays and oils will help make the soaps different colors, all my bars were white. And so I added those flowers on top to help differentiate the different kinds of soaps that I had. And then, um, and then I started to implement adding those flowers and different clays and um, different like exfoliants like loofah, like ground loofah or lemon peel. Like all of those elements are consistent all throughout the soap so that you can have them um, throughout the whole lifetime of the soap bar.
Got it. Okay. And I imagine you're very particular about sourcing flowers, right? Especially like you were saying, there's a movement towards the florist industry and things like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Um, I always like to know the farmer. So that's also has been a big challenge, right? Of like how to source from a farmer that I know, and then make sure that those ingredients, like make sure not only that it's grown sustainably, but also that it's processed sustainably. Um, and so it's definitely been a challenge to like find that right balance so that I can meet my customers at a price point that they're comfortable with. Um, and I would say the limitation's pretty like it sparks more creativity. Um, but yeah, I usually like to work with the farmers themselves. I'm actually in the process of I've acquired some land and I've been growing the flowers myself and using them for the soaps. And eventually, the big dream is to be a larger farm where I can grow all the ingredients for other soap makers and other, business owners, and do all the growing and the processing and manufacturing myself.
Sure.
So,
And then, by that regard, your supply chain is very organic as well, right? Because it's dependent on the harvest of the farmer and, what they've yielded, depending on the recent season and availability as well, right? It's not as commercially available, the
right.
flowers that you're sourcing.
Yeah, that's correct. Sometimes I'll have one ingredient that I request from a farmer, and it'll take, close to a year to actually get that end product. So it's definitely a limitation, but a very special one for me.
Sure. And then you have other sort of variations on the soap product that you have as well. So I'm sure you've isolated the essential oils that you sell. And can you talk a bit about some of the other products you have as well?
Yeah, so on top of soaps, I offer bath salts. I also offer, um, well, let me back up a little bit and say that I treat bathing as like a wonderful ritual. And so when I create products um, for Soaps of Seven Flowers, I keep rituals in mind. And so, like, for example, a lot of people have certain regimens for facial care. And I'll think about, okay, what are all the different things that could add value to your daily regimen of skincare? And so, like for products that I create for your face, I have a facial steam where you can pour hot water over flower like dried florals, and actually this steam will open up your pores, and the oils from the flowers will also get carried by that steam. And then I'll have like a toner, which will help with, it's just like a nice little like spray or like a mist for your face. And then the oils to kind of lock in all of the goodness that you're putting on your skin. Um, so yeah, and then I've also tried other products like scrubs and bath salts. Um, and then I'll also sell just dried flowers for the home as well.
Got it. And I like that
Hmm.
you treat, like you said, you treat the bathing process as a ritual because, I find too often, especially with, a rat race lifestyle where you're just on the go, and maybe if you're on the 9 to 5, morning routines are not a ritual. You wake up and it's boom, straight to work. And especially
Hmm.
now in these times when, we're in sort of like the pandemic setting and people are working remotely, I've seen and heard, including myself, people working more hours than they did going to the office because they've cut down on, travel time and an official start
Hmm.
time. They've got their
Hmm.
laptop at home, and the moment you wake up, you roll out of bed, you can just go straight to the laptop.
Hmm.
And that's really important that, rather than rush your breakfast, rush your morning routine, even rushing your bathing routine, I mean, we do it to keep clean and be hygienic. But if we can implement the ritual aspect of it, make it fun, make it invigorating, because that's, coffee's a timeout, during the day, but bathing is a true timeout. It's just, you in the water. And, for
Hmm.
those, even if it's, as little as 5 minutes, you can really make it 5 minutes that counts. And you can almost treat it as a meditative experience.
Hmm. Hmm. Absolutely. And I do think it's really important to take that time in the day to like check in with yourself. They may not always be positive feelings, so even the ones that feel a little more negative, there is value to exploring that. And so often we like just disassociate from our own bodies and our own minds, just to get through to the next day and the next day, like you were saying, the rat race. And one thing that I do like stamp on all my cards when I attach them to the soaps is a tagline that I came up with, which is "Be true to your body's aches and pains, for there will always be a flower to mend you." And so,
I like that.
what that? Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Go on. I think you were going to clarify uh, that further.
Mm. Yeah, what that means is allow yourself the spaciousness to feel all that you need to feel so that you can really be authentic in um, how you navigate your life and be really intentional.
Got it. Yeah. And I'm just going to repeat that again. So I think it's be true to your body's aches and pains, for there will always be a flower to mend you, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's awesome.
Exactly.
And the flower can be, symbolic of not just literally flower. It could be anything, right? There's always going to be something there that'll be there to save you. If you just have to be
Mm-hmm.
aware of that and have the intention for that.
Yeah.
Is there a particular soap composition that is your personal favorite for whatever reason at this time?
Ooh, that's like almost as the same answer of like, or the same question of like, what's your favorite flower, right? And for me, it's it's so seasonal. Like it depends on like if I make a new creation and um, it very quickly ends up becoming my favorite.
Yeah, that's
So
why I
it
said
would,
at this time. It's like
yeah,
it's your favorite song, It's,
at this time, my favorite combination is it's actually a lavender and rose bar, and I've added some rose clay in there that gives it like this really dark natural pink color. And then there's also a little bit of a layer of activated charcoal, which is really great at like eliminating like harsh like chemicals on your skin. It's really good at like clearing those out. Um, but yeah, lavender rose. I can't seem to get enough of that combo. It's used a lot in some other soaps that I make too.
No, lavender is a wonderful element. I mean, near where I stay, there's some lavender fields. So, up here in Canada, it snows maybe, I shouldn't say snows 3/4 of the year, but it's cold for 3/4 of the year. But in the summertime, when we have those 90 days of summer, it's great to go out there. Just the
Mm-hmm.
the colors of the lavenders and the smells. And growing up, for some reason in my family, Yardley was a company that made those
Mm-hmm.
lavender talcum powders, and
Mm-hmm.
I can still to this day get that scent, and it takes me back to when I was a child. And with
Mm-hmm.
the recent research about commercial talcum probably causing things like cancer and not being good for you, it's quite sad.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I'd be on a strict diet of lavender talcum powder. But no, you're right. I mean, lavender is great, and the many essential oils that you've got that are out there. And I'm glad you're fusing different things like the flowers and the oils, and you bring in herbs and colors, and the product that you have is really evolving, which is good to see, because it's not staying in one way, like in one setting. It's growing
Mm-hmm.
according to how we are growing, and
Mm-hmm.
that's great. So thanks again for coming on the episode, and sharing some of your work with us. And if people want to get a hold of you, where's the best place to reach you?
Yeah, the best place is to visit my website. It's soapsof7.com, and seven is not spelled out, it's just the number. And that's my phone number's on there, my email is on there, and those all go directly to me. So that's the best way to get a hold of me. And also check out some of the products and some of the other offerings I have on there.
Yes, it'd be interesting to see what you're going to be up to in the future, and how high you can take the fusion process and blending it with the cooking process. So one day, you'll make a
Hmm.
soap that will be as fun to use, and as satisfying to eat, if in your pantry. So
Yeah, yeah, that would be amazing.
no, that's great. And thanks again for coming on the show. And I wish you well.
Thank you so much for having me. Take
Thanks.
care.